Welcome to Retreat Magic, conversations all about the power and the purpose of retreats. I'm your host, Lisa Dunford Dickman, a transformational life coach and the leader of life-changing South African Sea Safari retreats. In these conversations, my guest and I will dive deep into the world of sacred transformational experiences, where wonder, alignment, and expansion meet. Let the magic begin. Welcome to Retreat Magic. I am so excited to have my guest, Darla LeDoux, here to me. She is not only a kick-ass CEO, author, and transformational retreat coach, she is one of my personal mentors and has been instrumental in me creating my own retreat business in the world. So I'm super excited to have Darla here today. Hi, Darla.
Hi, Lisa.
Let me tell you a little more about her. Darla LeDoux is a transformational business coach, a recovering engineer, author of Shift the Field, and founder of the Sourced business and community. Sourced helps service-based entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, creatives, healers, and therapists to confidently market, sell, and deliver deep transformation, while being guided by their uniquely sourced mission. After following all the formulas of experts for the years, all the while downplaying her own unique magic, Darla committed to doing business differently. She reclaimed her inner knowing, her source connection, and created the soul-led business that feels divinely right without suffering or struggle. She envisions a world in which all people access, live by their inner knowing, making it valid, valuable, and visible in their most magical work, which is a mission I am most heartedly on board with.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks so much for being here, Darla. So today we're here to talk about transformation. Retreats are powerful in themselves. I am all for getting away, rejuvenating, relaxing, renewing. Those are all wonderful things. And when a retreat container is designed to be transformational, it's really next level. It's really about honoring your soul's desire, transforming what's ever in the way, and stepping into your next level. So, Darla is the one who taught me how to hold transformation as an arc, as a complete process. And I'd love, Darla, if you said a little more about what your definition about transformation is. We use words like this a lot, and maybe some outside of our community don't have a reference for it.
Yeah, I love that. And I so agree it's different when a retreat is designed for transformation. So for me, transformation is creating a new awareness that has us show up and interact with life in a different way. It creates a permanent shift in the way we show up.
I love that so much. And often that happens through a life event, a catalyst. Like something happens, you have a death in your family, you have a divorce, you lose a job, you want to gain a new job. Something in the world happens, and it's not always the most positive experience when you don't choose it.
Yeah,
So how
we
can
call
we
that
choose it?
here. Yeah, here we call it a sourced experience. And so I feel like I want to define a couple other things. So I have a specific way that I think about the word magic, which is our magic is our inner knowing or our divine guidance. And it's my belief that when we are really in alignment, we actually have a knowing of what's right for us. And often for all of us, really, as we grow up, things happen that shut that connection down. In other words, maybe we got divine inspiration to go do XYZ, and those that raised us went, no, that's not okay, or we triggered, or we caused an upset, or maybe there was trauma. And we decide, oh, it's not safe to follow my own guidance, or it's never right to be too much or too creative or too in
Yes,
charge
I
or
don't know
too
anything about any of
fluid,
those.
fluey, fluey. That's a word. Yeah, exactly. And then we're disconnected from our guidance. And so I believe that our job as humans is to get back to who we came here to be as a soul, to be in alignment and receive divine guidance and live on this earth like it's a playground. And our guidance, like source is, I use the word source, God, the spirit, the universe, collective energy. I'm assuming your listeners are familiar with that.
Yes. Yes.
Source is always guiding us back to our truth. And so what this looks like is, I say shit hits the fan in life to get us to pay attention to the places where we're trying to be something we're not, where we are trying to force an outcome, or where we're just ready to heal something. And I like to say that we can just go about life and wait for the redirection. And when we have the tools of transformation, it's okay. Even if it looks bad on the outside, like things aren't going how we want, we know how to work with it. We know how to work with the energy that's being revealed. But most of us don't. We didn't get trained in that. I didn't get trained in that. And so what's better is to take yourself on retreat. And when a retreat is well designed, it can show us what's next for us to heal or transform or align so that we kind of stay in that flow instead of getting what does Oprah call it? Like the brick, right? There's the
Right.
cotton
Right. First
ball
a
and then
feather and then the brick.
yeah, exactly. So retreats keep you from getting the brick, at least some of the bricks.
Yes, I love that so much. And that's a great way to put it, right? Things still may happen, but when we've increased our capacity, when we're healing, when we're seeing what we needed to see, when we're healing those protection patterns, because so much of that we learned from our family, from society, we just learned we weren't okay. Something about us wasn't okay. And so we developed a way to protect ourselves, like a belief or action or automatic behavior that we maybe can't see. And so, as you're
Absolutely.
discussing in transformation, and you often say this, it's about seeing something you haven't seen before, right? So that you are then operating differently. And when we
Yeah.
choose it, I'm not saying there may not be tears involved, but when choosing from a higher vibration place, we're choosing from joy, we're choosing from freedom, we're choosing from possibility. And so when we choose a transformational retreat I love that we're avoiding the bricks or at least less shit hitting the fan. So
Yeah.
beautiful. So I'm curious about your first retreat that you went on, not that you held.
Mm, yeah. I guess my first real retreat. So I call myself a recovering engineer, as you know, Lisa. I used to work in corporate. I was a product development engineer for Procter and Gamble. And while I was in that role, one of the things that P&G does really well is continuing education and organizational development. In fact, you have to have an organizational development role to work there, or at least you did back then. And so I became certified as a coach within my organization to be able to help people work well together. And the certification was delivered via retreat. And so I was on retreat. We had 3 retreats that totaled 14 days across the 3 of them in order to get this training. And we stayed on site. It was kind of my first immersion like that, that was residential. And the thing that stands out to me is our goal was to help people who just started working together to have a good reporting relationship. So they'd work together for 2 to 3 months, and then we'd schedule this session. I almost said call, but we were in person in the office, and we'd have 2 coaches and the 2 people. And the goal was to kind of mirror them and to bring forward any judgments they might have of each other that they wouldn't think to even say that would get in the way of them working together. So it was really edgy. It was like, bringing forward if you're a different race or age or gender and like what biases might you have about this person because of that. And so, in order to facilitate that, we had to look at our own biases. And we did an
Ooh.
exercise where we had everybody sat in a circle and we took turns going in the center of the circle and telling the truth about our biases. And then everybody in the outside of the circle would give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down if they thought we were telling the truth. And so this was so eye-opening for me because one, I learned we can really discern when someone's aligned with what they're saying. Now, I think people can say things that are not true really convincingly when they really believe them, right? But generally speaking, you can pick up on that truth. And so that was the first thing I saw. And the second thing I saw was how often we're pretending, how often we are just saying what the other person wants to hear. And this was in the corporate context, right? We would have the meeting before the meeting so that in the meeting, no one said anything that would not align with the popular path, right? So in
Yes.
other words, why
Very
are we
corporate.
having this
Yes.
meeting? And I, at that point, I started to realize I don't think I can spend my life this way. I want to be in conversations that are real, where we're speaking truth. So I did end up leaving somewhat shortly after that training, but that was my first retreat and it was really immersive.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that's come up in the series of conversations I've been having is that retreat leaders I'm talking to don't just hold retreats. They've lived them. They've had that
Mhm.
experience where
Yeah.
things are different before and after. Before you see, oh my gosh, I can see someone else's truth and they can see mine
Yeah.
and they can see mine. And that potentially triggering event, like that you're really
Yeah.
seeing something you haven't seen before, and you're seeing something about yourself you haven't seen
Mhm.
before. And that, so all 201, every transformational leader I've talked to has those experiences themselves. They've
Yeah.
lived them, they love them, and then they lead them.
Live, love, lead. I love it. As opposed to live, laugh, love.
It's true.
The first retreat I went to as a business owner was in Las Vegas, and it was about success, and we did a money experience. And I also remember so clearly seeing what I hadn't seen. I was making about $1,200 a month as a coach in when I went to this retreat, which was obviously not sustainable business. And through the really beautiful way that this was designed and facilitated, such an inspiration for my work, they I was able to see that I had this belief about money, that there was a right and wrong way to spend money. And I learned it because we had to get people to spend money during this retreat. And I was really aware how much conversation my mom had in my environment about how everybody spent their money and what was wrong with it. And Lisa, I know that I, at some level, was thinking spending money on coaching, spending money on me is certainly
Hmm.
a wrong way to spend money. Like that would not qualify in my mom's list of right ways to spend money. And once I saw that, I don't want to say everything went away forever, but literally, I have never looked at money the same again since then.
And that's a perfect definition of transformation. Not
Yeah.
looking at the same again, right? And then you start to
Yeah,
act
it's like
differently in the world.
exactly. Like I get to decide what's valuable.
And isn't that radical? I mean, it seems so
Yeah.
obvious, and yet it's so radical because we have all these
Yeah.
inherited systems, all these beliefs, all these thoughts, all these, programmed behaviors and protection strategies, really. Like we need to love that part of ourselves that has all these, not try to get rid of it, which is
Yeah.
just resistance. But when you can just see something in a new way, it's so incredibly powerful. And I've had numerous of those experiences with you on retreat in activities we've done. I remember horse whispering in hill country, where I
Oh.
was so focused on this gorgeous big black stallion that was in, I'm going to attract this gorgeous horse into me. And I I really fixated on the biggest, shiniest object in front of me that first moment. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm tuning in. I'm calling this in. And I'm I'm attuned. I'm following this horse. I'm judging its micro reactions. And it just bolts. It's out of there. It's gone, gone. Like I couldn't even turn fast enough to find it. And in my vision is the shyest, most turns out traumatized horses, one of the newest horses there that I would never even noticed. It was small and brown and, not flashy. And I thought, oh, oh, the entire reason for me looking at this first horse was to turn me so I
Mm.
could see my true direction.
Mm.
And sometimes that's how it goes, right? Sometimes, but when we get attached to the big shiny object we think is the point, I could have gone chasing after the other horse. But when we're aligned with source, when we're in our deep knowing, then when we get those aha moments, we get that, oh, wait, I don't always know the reason something's happening.
Mm.
And what if I just stay continually open instead of trying to force what I want to happen? What if that's the game we're playing now? What is different? And that was a before and after moment for me. Like, oh, wait, what if I don't know everything? Like,
And what
that's
if we don't
big.
see what's meant for us that's right in front of our face?
Yes, and we're going off chasing what we think we want. So those big, beautiful moments happen often on retreats, and you design activities to bring them up, retreat leaders, you know, but it might be just going on the retreat itself might bring things up for you. It might be like, for example, Open to the Magic in South Africa is far away.
Yeah.
It's an investment. It's an ultra level of pampering that some people are not used to and not used to allowing themselves to be taken care of on that level. And so sometimes it's just joining a retreat that can become a
Mm.
source or transformational experience. What do you find to
Absolutely.
be true about that?
Well, I always say it starts when you register. And I just wrote about this in my newsletter this week about the enrollment process and when someone commits to their transformation. It's very different than committing to go on vacation or going somewhere because, oh, I like Lisa, let me go with her. Or I've always wanted to go to Africa, let me go to Africa. Like, yes, those things are also true, but it's got to be an inner pull to, I want my life to be different.
Yes,
And
100%.
you don't have to know how you want it to be different. You don't even have to like admit or say out loud that you want it to be different, but at a soul level, you're called. And without that, nobody would transform because it can be sticky or painful. Like seeing maybe how this horse that I want is out of reach and it hurts. And then there's this one. And is it good enough? Is it okay? Right? And like whatever you had to grapple with in that moment, that's not easy stuff. And so we want to be committed when we register. So I think you're absolutely right. Whatever someone moves through to get their plane ticket and arrange travel and arrange child or pet care and tell people in their life, hey, I'm going to Africa on retreat, right? Like that's in our world, that's like oh, okay, of course, we're going on retreat. But for most people, that's a wild idea to say, I'm going on a retreat in Africa. I have a friend in my life who's constantly like, I can't believe you're going there by yourself. Whatever I'm doing, I can't believe you're doing that. And so all of that gets us ready for whatever is coming next.
Yes. And it was beautiful the way you wrote about that intention and setting the intention that I want my life to be different. And I always ask when I'm talking to people, I'm very clear that this is not a vacation. It is beautiful in Africa and it's magical and transformational just being there on one level, so that I almost sometimes feel like I'm cheating because Africa's doing a lot of the work. However,
Great.
I created the container, I'm holding the space, and I'm inviting you into that next level. Like that's why I see retreats as portals, like portals to your own becoming, what
Mm.
your next level is, what your next. And often I hear people, like you said about money, is it okay to spend money on myself? Is it
Mm.
okay to
Yeah.
spend this large amount of money on myself? Is it okay to honor these soul desires? And I personally think it's the least selfish thing we can do because
Mm.
when we transform, when we're living from a higher vibration, more love, more joy, more freedom, we have more
Yeah.
energy for our families. We have more joy in our life. We have more choice. We can show up in a new way for our children, our parents, our communities, our planet. And so it's actually, in my view, the least selfish thing you can do.
Mm.
But when people are grappling with that, what do you say to them?
With investing in themselves.
Yes. Or making this choice for their own transformation, valuing their own transformation, really.
Yeah, I mean, typically, if we're at that point in a conversation, I would know what is it that they really want, right? What is it they really want and why they want it? And what I find is most people, their why is very unselfish, right? Why do I want it? Because I want to make a bigger difference in the world. Why do I want it? Because I want to be more loving with my partner. Why do I want it? Because I want to put like a different vibration out into the world. And so at that point in a conversation, I would know, what those
Of
things
course,
are
of
for
course.
that person, right? And because it's personal. And when we're making the decision to invest, we are saying, hey, I am willing to do things differently in service of this outcome. And
Yes.
Lisa, I don't know about you, but if I'm having a conversation with someone about their own transformation, I usually have to point to and help them locate the selfish reason. Like
Mm-hmm. I
people
could see
are,
that.
some people, might be more tapped in to what they want for themselves, but so many people struggle to say, I just want this because I want this. I just
Yes.
want this because it feels good. I just want this because, it feels inspired because I feel a soul yes. Like we're not trained to do that.
I feel like a bobblehead doll over here. I couldn't agree more with that.
Going on
Like,
retreat is that like part of training us, because
yes.
the thing that's in the way of saying yes to the retreat, whatever that energy pattern is, I say it's hidden from our view, but it's coloring everything. That's what will get shifted through saying yes. And so in that decision, whether I'm going to invest or not, it's right there. It's in the way of the decision, actually. But if we can just throw our hat over the wall and make the decision knowing I'm not going to have to be so conflicted about decision making
Mm.
anymore because I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to learn myself better, it's worth taking that risk.
It 100% is. Because, and you're right, the clients I talk to, and that most of the retreat leaders that I'm talking with in this series are talking with, it's the idea that they'd be selfish anyway is silly. Like that's actually what they struggle with, the over responsibility, the like
Yeah.
not putting yourself first ever. And what I really want people to get from this series is that they know that their desires matter. Their soul's longings, their desires, those are their inner
Yeah.
GPS. And it's so important that you honor that. Like if you want to get to that next level, if you want to have more impact with more ease, if you want to
Mm.
show up in a different way for your children or for your children's children, like one of the questions I always ask is, it doesn't, if it's not this, what's going to make the difference that you are doing things differently a year from now? Like it doesn't have to be
That's
my
great.
retreat. What is going to be different a year from now if you don't do this? Because if you are committed to that having more impact, or that being like a brighter star, being a bigger light, or what so many of our clients want in the world, right? Having more of a positive impact and with more ease, with less struggle, with less striving. And if that's really something you're committed to, what are you going to do differently? Like, how are you going to? And
Yeah.
going on a retreat, choosing a retreat leader who you trust, who like you feel aligned with, that you feel that source connection, is one of those ways that I know. And it really helps you getting away from your everyday experience. You can absolutely use your tools and transform at home, but getting away from your everyday,
Yeah.
honoring yourself, giving yourself this gift, saying, I just want this because I want it. Like, which is what one of my clients did in my last retreat. It's a private lodge just for us, but and we were all finished with the cake. It was a pretty little tea cake with some little frosting on the top. And she goes, Lisa, I just want the frosting on the next piece. Could I just eat the frosting? I'm like, honey, ask the other people in our group, but it's all for us. If no one else wants any, you can eat all the frosting, all the frosting. It's all for you. And that's a really radical way to think. Like I know there are some self-centered people out there but that's not really who we're talking to here. It's like the people who don't know they can eat all their icing. So
Yeah.
that's the invitation to go on retreat with a retreat leader that has designed for transformation and trusts it. And Darla leads, I can testify, amazing shifting retreats. I can't even enumerate the number of shifts I had at your retreats, and I'm immensely grateful for that, Darla. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
Darla also teaches people to hold retreats. And
Mhm.
so, would you like to say more about your work in the world? What would you like to share?
Oh, I'll share a little bit of an advanced thought process since this is all about retreat. The thing that's really present for me in this season. So my first book is Retreat and Grow Rich. I've been teaching people how to host powerful, profitable retreats for quite some time. I pivoted during COVID to really teach the skills and the transformational skills. And I'm back to leading retreat-based programs. And the thing that's most alive right now is around how hung up people get on logistics.
Mm,
And I have a checklist that people can get that will give you a guide to logistics and the energetics, really. It's all of it. And that people think that's the thing that's stopping them,
mm,
and yes, it's a huge decision. Like Lisa, when I feature you as a testimonial in my webinar, it's about how Africa was calling you. And when you have that calling, it is important to trust it. And I remember you thinking, I'm just going to do a little retreat at home first. But it was really that Africa was calling to you, and the location mattered for what you're here to facilitate in the world, how Source is here to work through you. And, lots of people could take people to Africa and not have the same result as you have because of your training and your skills and your magic, your owning of your magic, and your willingness to hold that space for truth. And then someone could be having a retreat in an ugly conference room in Philadelphia. I don't know why Philadelphia. And can have equally powerful transformation with the right design and the right tools. And someone could hold a retreat in a conference room that is surface, right? There's no depth,
Mm-hmm.
there's no magic.
A lot of teaching.
It's yeah, yeah. And we can go and we can write in our journal and we can even do yoga and we can do the things from a performing space, or we can really design something that moves energy for people.
Yes.
And the thing, people who want to host retreats, they think it's these logistical questions that are the problem, but it's really, can I show up, clear who I am, and hold a container of intentionality and design for transformation and have those harder conversations? Because Lisa, you could have gone in the field and looked at the horses and then gone home, but you went with the intention that we created, that this experience is going to open up a whole new level of freedom in your life. And people aren't skilled, confident, willing to hold that level of intentionality a lot of times. We're scared,
Well,
right? Because it's
it's
going to
true.
disrupt people. It's going to affect things. It's going to be emotional. Things will happen.
Messy.
And so we'd rather just focus on the logistics, check, 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 versus I'm going to show up. You use the word portal. I'm going to show up as a portal for truth in this space. And that's the work that I'm passionate about helping people with, is how do you trust yourself to show up as a portal for truth in the space?
I love that so much. And what I find often is those things are just protection patterns. Upper limits problems, they're like the way to keep your mind busy. Like I had one client who was obsessed with insurance
Yep.
and the getting of insurance and the details of insurance and how do I do it. And I really had to call her into, is this really a question?
Yeah.
Like, is this real? Or is this a way to distract from that truth, from
Right.
stepping into all of who I am, to holding the space, to being the space for transformation?
And isn't insurance such a metaphor for deferring our
It
power?
really is. It really is. It really
Yeah.
is. So, um, so you are now teaching people to hold these, you've been consistently all
Oh,
through for years and years teaching people to hold these containers and to
yeah.
take that stand for the truth. Is there anything specific you want to share business wise? We will have all of Darla's links in the show
Mm.
notes and access to her checklist.
Yeah. If you want to host retreat, come get in a room with me because it's very meta. We will shift whatever's in the way of you being that confident leader in front of the room. And we'll teach you, we'll help you develop your signature retreat, the one that shifts energy for people, the one that makes money for you. So if you've been daydreaming about hosting retreats, my next one is in October 8th through 10th in Colorado.
Yay. Okay. Well, all Darla's information will be below. And Darla, I thank you so much for being here with us today. What I'd love for people to take away is what are you doing to take that stand for truth, to
Mhm.
step into all you are, to step into what is possible. Like it doesn't, of course, I would love if it was Darla's retreat or mine or one of our other retreat leaders. Of course, I would love that. But whatever it is, can you even take the tiniest step towards honoring your soul's desire, towards valuing your own transformation? And if this is a portal or a calling, reach out. Get in a room with Darla, you know, log on with one of our other retreat leaders. Like, don't ignore that call. Darla, did you have any last words for our guests?
Hmm. Just let it be fun. It can
Yay.
be heavy and it's like, I like to say, look at our cute little human running our
Hmm.
patterns. So let it be fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, we can transform through joy. It doesn't have to be that brick. We want fewer bricks for sure. Thank you so much, Darla.
Thank you, Lisa.
See you again next time on Retreat Magic. Thank you for joining us on our Retreat Magic journey. If something stirred in your soul today, follow that thread. Our incredible guest offerings and my Open to the Magic in South Africa retreat are linked in the show notes. Remember, the real magic always begins within.